And welcome to this week's edition of Twin Peaks Unwrapped. I'm your host, Brian Kasaska. Beside me is the Twin Peaks
veteran, Ben Durant.
Yes, thank you. Thank God you took that. I threw it to you and you grabbed it because I was a loss for words for a second there.
You're such a noob.
I know. It would have been just a moment of dead air. People would have thought whatever they were listening to just died on them.
Yes.
What happened? Did my phone just die?
You know, it's funny. We never talk about. I mean, I think people know that this is a Twin Peaks podcast.
Yes.
We don't need to introduce it each week. Every week we will be doing an episode of Twin Peaks. We don't need to say that.
No,
I think you guys have downloaded this because you're interested in Twin Peaks and you know that we're going to talk about Twin Peaks. And this week we're talking about episode 5.
Yes. By this point, if you're just jumping in, you need to go back. But by this point,
we have to go back.
You have to go back to the island. That's another podcast. We'll do it.
All right, someday. That'd be awesome, right? Someday.
That's
a lot. What do we have? 200 episodes of Lost or something like that? Yeah, that's a lot. I also was interested in X-Files too, but again, that would be cool too. But cool. So this is kind of like this is not the official. This is kind of like the unofficial Log Lady episode. I mean,
the Log Lady, and we get to see her house, right? We
get
some
backstory about her. There's a lot going on in this. So, and this one is episode 5, written by Mark Frost, and it was directed by Leslie Linka Glatter, and it was aired on May 10th, 1990. The ratings was 11.5 in the 38th place.
Wow. So we're going up?
We are getting better. So maybe it's not there's hope still.
Wow. That's weird. Well, maybe because the people are talking about it and how weird it is.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, I got to tune in. And I think it's finding its audience. But maybe that audience, because back then you didn't have a DVR, so you had to go back. Maybe people are like, oh, they'll tell them about it. And then you can't watch it. See, back then you couldn't
just download the episodes you missed or stream it or...
You had to hear it from a buddy.
Right.
They would get you up to speed, and then you'd have to watch it. You just have to watch it. You couldn't be like, I got to watch episodes 1 through this to catch up. Be like, nope, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know, and you're going to go watch it.
Yep.
Simpler times back then.
Simpler times.
And you had more time in your hands. If you could just listen to your buddy rattle on for 20 minutes to get you caught up, you're good to go.
There you go.
You saved yourself 4 hours. Wow.
So, I mean, we start with Cooper in his hotel, and he's being woken up by some noise from, I think, the Icelanders. They're partying at night. And
those damn Icelanders.
Talking to Diane, say, you got to send me some earplugs.
Yeah, and these Icelanders, man, they're partying it up.
Yep.
They're pretty loud.
I think it's probably the time zone, like maybe they're that,
Yeah, they're up. They used to be up at that time.
Yeah.
When I jump in, for my notes, I kind of gloss over the beginning part when he's getting coffee because I think he meets
Audrey.
Audrey comes in. A little flirtatious, and I think he basically tells her, you don't have anything to worry about, sort of like, you don't have to help me, I think, right?
Yeah, and he's like, you're a schoolgirl.
Yeah.
My favorite, though, is that, he says, I think he says something like he was in high school once, and she says, I don't believe you were ever in high school, and it's like, I have the pictures to prove it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'd like to see those pictures. That's what she said, yeah.
And then this also introduces the many hairstyles of Agent Cooper. His hair looks odd to me in this episode. I've also noticed as the series progressed, there'll be an episode where he hadn't got a haircut or something, and he slicks his hair back, and it looks really big.
That's funny.
And then the next episode, his hair slicked back, and it's normal looking. So it's weird. I followed his hair trends throughout the show.
All right, we should go on Twitter, Cooper's hair, and we'll just have
Cooper's hair, hashtag Cooper's hair.
Right.
And we'll have different photos of all his different haircuts.
And of course, the funny thing is, every episode is one day. So, I think we even talked about on the pilot, from pilot to episode 1, a lot of people look very different. Their hairstyles are different. Maybe I think Audrey's hair is shorter in the pilot and longer by episode 1. It was
shot so far apart.
Yeah, it was so far apart. But it's just funny because, we're supposed to be thinking like yesterday.
And they'll look different.
Right, yeah. How does your hair grow so fast? But
And then that's also the same thing with into season 2. Everybody looks different. That first episode.
Yeah.
Everybody looks a little bit older, a little bit different.
Right.
And we'll get into that later. But my notes. Flesh World stuck to ceiling, which was an interesting place to have your Flesh World magazine stuck. I know it's jumping ahead. I don't really think much happens between the beginning of the episode and that, right?
Not really.
Because Ben and Jerry have an interaction. It's not that important. But there's an investigation. They're at Jacques' house, right? They're still at Jacques' apartment.
Right.
Which they seem to be there for a very long time. You see...
Want to bring up the audio for a second, just for fun here?
Yeah.
By the way, Harry, did you notice the picture of Leo Johnson's truck on that page?
Yeah. So Cooper's still seeing things that maybe you wouldn't notice. And this is really like
yes, his truck is
a pornography magazine or something like that. And then you see, but there's a picture of Leo's truck. So it's somehow...
Who was that in drag?
Nobody we would know. So it's just some random person.
Now, that wasn't Dave Duchovny in drag.
No,
because he gets in drag later on. And I thought maybe that was a glimpse.
No.
Well, then I was definitely wrong on that one.
No. Yeah, so he's just a random person. But.
So they find the Flesh World on the ceiling. He notices the truck.
And Cooper's when they discovers it, he's just kind of like, "Can you give me a leg up?" And it's like, "How do you even know that's on the ceiling?" Like I think it might have been in the light fixture or something like that. But it's just funny that he even noticed that.
Don't forget, Mr. Agent Cooper. He's a man who notices a lot of things.
Right.
You know what though?
He's a strong sender. He's
a strong sender. He sends and receives things.
That's right.
But you know what it is about this show? They play it up. That he's so quick. Like, he'll notice when someone's going out, when someone's fighting. He'll notice a lot of things. And I think I've seen other shows where they'll have the detective notice something right away that, like, is too weird. And I'll call BS. I'm like, this is such BS. But for some reason, the show does it. And I can't call BS. Because they play up Agent Cooper from the beginning like that.
Right.
I feel like if you didn't, and he noticed that right away,
right?
I'd be like, that's so BS. Because why would he notice that? But I can't. Because he's just that way.
Right. I also think he finds clues, but he doesn't, like, solve the whole mystery. So I think other shows, like, in 10 minutes, you've solved the whole mystery. It's like, oh, I can see this, and this, and this. Whereas Cooper is like, I found some things, but I still can't understand the whole picture. And I think that's why it's easier to go along with him.
Yeah, you can really... It's easier. It's a easier pill to swallow than something else. So
I can talk about some stuff that that was in the script that was never that never filmed, that we never saw in the show. If you want, I can
sure.
Or do you have something?
Well, nope.
Okay,
talk about that because we'll go into what I have a question about. So.
We'll go into your question. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Well, okay. Why did I write red? Is it Red Drapes?
Red Drapes, yes. So
the Dream magazine pick and window of cabin.
Yep.
So Red Drapes, I've matched.
I feel like I'm trying. A mystery here is like the words are Red Drapes.
Yes.
Cabin.
What
is it? Yeah. So we're back. We're still in Jacques' place, and Cooper runs into. I think it's like in the cabinet area there. There's a picture of Jacques' cabin, and in that cabin are red drapes. What looks just like drapes from Cooper's Dream, the Red Room. So that's where,
And magazine picture. I don't know why.
I mean, that was you thought it was David Duchovny, which it was not David.
Yeah.
I think that was a reference.
But I put Red Drapes, Dream, magazine picture, and window of cabin. But that makes sense because when they go into the cabin, not to jump ahead, there is a camera there.
Oh yeah, that's right. A still camera, right? So that it connects.
The picture they took was actually in Flesh World.
Yes.
Because of the Red Drapes.
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Yes, you connected it all together. So that's where they took pictures
for the flesh, and that's why Leo's truck was out there.
And I think they do show that it was only Laura's hair, but I think Cooper puts it together. That was way back, I think, in episode 1 when they're at the when they were at the safety deposit box. They find a picture of Flesh World, and it's like that's Laura and stuff. And so
So here we can pause it here because we're going to get into some interesting stuff. But what do you have? I want to know some script stuff. You're just going to tell me.
Oh, I'm probably getting out of order here.
That's fine. We can be out of
okay.
order. Nobody knows.
So I know, only for us.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a couple things. I mean, one thing that they had a storyline they were going to do where James's mom was going to come back to town. And
I'm glad they didn't. That's too many characters.
I know, too many characters. And there's a brief mention where James sees Don, I think, in this episode at the gazebo when he mentions it. But before that, it was deleted, but it was in the script where James goes and sees Big Ed at Big Ed gas farm, and he says,
Gas farm.
I think that's what they call it. I know it's a gas station, but so I guess Colleen Hurley is James's mom, and I believe that would be Ed's sister.
Yep.
So yeah. So it looks like Colleen Hurley's come back and she's drunk and she's an alcoholic and he's having a lot of problems and it sounds like she's suicidal and stuff like that. So originally I think they were going to have the storyline where James and his mother were going to interact more. I agree with you. I'm so glad they didn't do that. I mean, there was already too many characters and we don't need any more with that.
Yeah.
I don't think that it takes away from the big story, the big picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Too many small stories can sometimes dilute. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this episode is where we find out that Audrey is she's trying to get herself into the perfume section of the store.
Now,
Horn's store.
Yes. So to put this together, in the last episode, she was hanging out with Donna, and I think Donna told her that I think Laura worked at the perfume counter in Horn's store, and then I think they figured out they might have figured out that Renette also worked there.
Exactly,
so,
and somehow that correlates with Black-Eyed Jacks.
Yeah, One-Eyed Jacks, right.
But One-Eyed Jacks. And Audrey is determined to find out how. Why do these people that work at the perfume section somehow get themselves into Black-Eyed Jacks?
So she gets her father to she basically says she's so sorry to her dad and says, I want to work for you. I want to start at the very bottom, she says, and work my way up. But then she gets an interview
quickly. She worked her way up. That was real quick.
She gets an interview to work at the department store.
But she's denied.
Well, she is not denied. He says, okay, maybe you can, I don't know, move boxes or something. Yep. But she basically says that, I'm going to scream and say that you harassed me or assaulted me. Yep. So you're going to put me in the perfume counter. And he says, yes, yes, Mrs. Horn.
Yep. Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm thinking about later on what she does. Yeah, so she's just being sneaky and conniving. But she wants this because she knows this could lead to some clues.
Yep.
And you're right. I'm thinking about something else later on.
And I have another deleted or that was part of Unseen Twin Peaks that was in the script where Major Briggs is speaking to Icelanders at the Great Northern, and this is just a little thing that he has to say. I also happen to be a firm believer in the UFO. I've seen some high-level classified data, and that would curl your hair. So he briefly talks about that the UFOs. The interesting thing is that Major Briggs' actor also played Scully's father on The X-Files.
Really?
And the whole idea of aliens and stuff. So there was this deleted thing where he seems to be interested or fascinated with aliens to some degree. Not spoiling anything, but I think that will come up later on again.
Will.
And it's... well, I guess that's a spoiler, but it's a tiny spoiler.
Yeah,
but it's interesting that there was some breadcrumbs, or there was something there even in the first season that they wanted to do more with Major Briggs than just, smack Bobby around when he's smoking in the house or something like that. That there was other thoughts and stuff. Yeah.
From my notes, I have Bobby seeing the doctor. Laura wanted to die. And then in quotes, people try to be good but are sick and rotten. That was a quote from Laura.
Yeah.
Laura had a secret that would wanted to die for it. Laura had a secret that would want to die for it. Made Bobby sell drugs so she can have them.
Right.
So there's a scene where Bobby's seeing the doctor, and I'm trying to remember and how this was all brought up.
So interesting thing is, this is supposed to be family counseling. Major Briggs and his the mother, and they all are there to see Jacoby.
Okay.
Jacoby's like, I'm going to see Bobby by himself. It's like, this is supposed to be family counseling. And it's like, well, I need to see each one of you individually.
It's very weird.
Really what's happening is Jacoby is really looking for answers because he's trying to find out who killed Laura Palmer. At least that's what we led to believe when he talks with Cooper, that he's doing his own investigation.
Everybody's doing their own investigation.
Yeah. I mean, interesting. He kind of cheats with Bobby. I mean, because he knows what Laura said, because he has these tapes of Laura where they and they had their sessions and stuff. So Laura probably said, "Oh yeah, I've got this boyfriend," and he cries when we have sex and stuff. So it's like he kind of cheats. He's led us to believe, he's leading Bobby to believe, does she do this to you? Does she do that to you? He knows that because Laura told him. So in a way, but the funny thing, I mean, I think the thing is that so Bobby actually breaks down and cries. He says, yes, this happened. Yep. And near the end, it then cuts to a bird flying. And it's like, to me, it's like his emotions are able to set free. Like he's able to, he's had this anger and upset, and he's finally able to let go and say, yes, I was, in one way, he was a victim. He was forced to sell drugs. He was abused in some ways by Laura, who mistreated him and stuff.
I know. They really, by this point, I'm like, why do people really care that she died? She seems like a horrible person. Aren't you all happy she's dead? She just seems to be mean. But at the same time, I'm thinking, well, she's dead. They can say anything they want about her.
That's true, right?
So any of this could be made up. Yep. We don't know.
Right.
But I'm thinking to myself, man, Laura's being painted to be a horrible person by all these people that loved her.
I know. I mean, you want to bring that up for a second?
Sure.
The drapes. Drapes.
Oh, this goes back to my drapes in
drapes,
the map.
Harry, for my dream.
That's good. So that was him. They're showing Jacques' place, and they find the red drapes on the cabin, and he says, "Oh, it's all connecting again. We have the Cooper's drapes."
Now Cooper's drapes.
Dream
the dream drapes. The drapes. The drapes match everything. So yeah, everybody, Bobby talks to the doctor about everything, but she says people tried to be good but are sick and rotten. So I think that associates to all these men that fell in love with her, and some of them were maybe not nice to her.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe they had good intentions, but they weren't.
Yeah, I do wonder about that. That in some ways that we're saying that Laura's so rotten or seems so bad, but you wonder is she hiding stuff too? Is her life not as perfect? Did people mistreat her, and is that why she's mistreating other people and stuff? Yeah, and I think that's something that we have to watch and see. And
yeah, maybe because she's she didn't like all the men falling in love with her. She said she couldn't help that. So maybe if they fell in love with her, but she didn't want to be with them, they would treat her like crap. So maybe that was a curse that she had.
And you question whether, was it a part of her that wanted to feel like crap? I don't know. I mean, some people are self-destructive, and you wonder if she's self-destructive in some ways. Yeah. So now Donna and Maddie and James are all hanging out at the Double R, and they're working together.
Yes.
They've come together to say,
the Scooby Gang.
We love Laura, and we want to find out who killed her and stuff.
Yep.
So, yeah.
They're all ganging together. So the next thing in my notes is Cabin in the Woods. Is the Log Lady's
Cabin
place.
in the Woods. Sounds like a movie.
Yes, Cabin in the Woods. The Log Lady's place. Tea party. Then log secrets. So they all have tea together, and the log has secrets. And the log saw two guys, two girls. Cabin with recording. So we know this cabin had the camera, so the photos were taken in this place.
Oh, I want to spend more time on the Log Lady.
Okay, let's go to the Log Lady.
This is the Log Lady
Log
episode.
Lady's place. Okay, let's do it. So Log Lady, the log has secrets.
Yeah, so maybe this is a good time to talk about the origins and stuff.
Yes, I want to know about the log lady.
And I want to see when we get to her talking, I want to have some audio of that at the cabin. But so trying to watch this and tell you stuff.
Okay.
So this is me talking for a bit. I'm trying to give you some background. So Catherine Coulson is the actress who plays the log lady.
Yep.
She met David Lynch at the American Film Institute, and she was a teacher in an acting workshop, and David was a student, David Lynch there. And basically David Lynch wanted her to work on his movie Eraserhead, which, Eraserhead took 5 years to make and stuff like that. She actually never ended up being in the film. She had a smaller part. I think it was a nurse, and due to budget cuts and stuff, they didn't money that she never was in it, but she actually helped out the background.
Yeah.
She was married to Jack Nance, who plays Pete Martell in that. In real life, the two of them were married.
Really?
And they actually got divorced a little after Eraserhead was, like right before Eraserhead was done or something like that. So maybe that time.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that I feel like I'm taking the long way to get to this.
Well, here you can pause it, and then we can get some audio.
All right, let's get some audio here. Talk.
All right.
Well, that's very kind of you, ma'am, but I don't believe that...
What kind of cookies?
Sugar. The owls won't see us in here.
See, the owls are brought up again.
Owls, yes. The owls won't see us in it. What is that, huh?
Very nice.
She knows.
Play some more audio a little bit.
Shut your eyes and you'll burst into flames.
That's what I love. Shut your eyes and you'll burst into flames.
What does that even mean?
And I think they're going to give a little bit of background of her, but I don't know if we want to get into that.
Wait for the tea. The fish aren't running.
You've been expecting us, Margaret.
You're 2 days late. But that's your concern. My log saw something. Something significant.
What did your log see?
Tea first.
Nah,
Then
that's
be
probably
ready.
enough there.
Well, here we go. I have a question.
Yes.
I'm gonna jump ahead, and I'll try to be vague. But the log in season 2 has a message for Bobby's dad. Tells Bobby's dad the message, and then Bobby's dad goes to Cooper and tells him the message.
Right.
There's a printout. I'm not gonna stop right there. Is that what she's talking about the log? Is that? I mean, yeah, in my notes, the log saw 2 men, 2 girls. But is that a reference really to that, or is that a reference to something different?
I think they're 2 separate I mean, I think they're similar. I mean, they're all part of this the grander story. So I mean, I think they're connected.
Okay.
They're connected, but they're not. Yeah, they're 2.
Because I'm now going. The log saw 2 guys, 2 girls. What would that be reference to? Because we know the killers, or killer, but there was 3 guys, 1 girl.
What were the 3 guys?
Well, Jacques, Mike, and maybe it was Bobby, or maybe it was Hank. You don't know who the 3rd person is right now. I don't know, because that's the killer. Because Agent Cooper says you find out the 3rd person, that's the killer. But we know Jacques and we know Mike, Crazy Mike, are the 2 people supposedly. Where I am in the story.
Okay, I'll go with this where we are in the story and say that I think it's Jacques and Leo, because we have, if I'm looking at this where the story is right now, we have Jacques and have Jacques and we have Jacques and the bloody shirt that was Leo's.
Yes.
And so
it was Leo and Jacques.
Right, and so those would be the 2 men.
But there's a 3rd one.
Yeah, and I think but I think right now if we're using this idea of there's 2 men, those could be the 2 men, and then we know who the 2 girls are and stuff. So
Which were Donna and
Laura and Renette.
Oh.
Because remember, Renette is the one that was on the train at the beginning.
She's the other one.
She's in the hospital.
I always forget there was another one that was her as well.
I know. Well, she's not. She's like, I think she's in a coma, and
she's in a coma,
and so we don't see her for a while.
Oh
and stuff. So I should get back to where I was
so that
going.
makes sense then. 2 guys, 2 girls. Okay, that answers my question.
I'm taking a long way to get to this origin. So she's. I'll start going back. Catherine Coulson, who plays the log lady, she worked on Eraserhead. So that was like maybe 15 years before Twin Peaks, and back then Lynch had ideas for television series, which is not popular for a film director. But he had this idea that he wanted to do a show with her called The Log Girl.
Oh my God!
The Log Girl,
and
they would talk about this, and so the name of the TV show. This is him just going back and forth with Coulson there. The TV show was called "I'll Test My Log with Every Branch of Knowledge." And the idea of this, what? I know it's a pretty long title. I don't think
it's my knowledge
with every branch of knowledge. So the concept of the story was the log girl would have her log, and she would go and visit experts. But these experts would be, I'm going to give you an example of a dentist. So the log girl would go visit a dentist, and the dentist would talk about being a dentist and expert stuff. So every episode, you'd meet a new expert on some subject, and they would talk about it.
Wait. Real people or actors?
I don't know. I would think they would be real people. I would think.
Yeah.
And to give you more background, David Lynch, his father, I think he was like a ranger, but he worked in the forest, like the national forest or something like that. And David Lynch would spend time in the woods and stuff like that. So he was very fascinated with wood, and he even to this day he makes things out of wood. I mean, he creates stuff. But so he had this idea for the longest time about the log girl. And so this pilot comes about, and again I told you I think that Log Lady was not in the script for the pilot and stuff. There's no way. But David Lynch calls up Catherine Coulson, and he's like, I think it's time to bring in the log girl. Catherine's like, well, she's not really a girl anymore. I mean, it's been 15 years, so I think you need to call her the log lady and stuff like that. And so he brings her. So here's the thing: is like he says, I don't think the network is going to really buy this. I think on paper they're not going to like the log girl. It's like seems really bizarre. Yeah. So we're going to sneak you in. We're going to. She did not have a contract. She did not make any money or anything, and she was just brought in to flip the lights and stuff. And it's like so. But then once the network saw this, they liked the idea, and she became a regular character and stuff. But she,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And so her name is the actress's real name is Catherine. And she was married to Pete Martell. I mean, the actor's name is Jack Nance, and Jack Nance's wife on the show is Catherine Martell. So it's almost kind of funny that, and like he says, I guess he sometimes when he went on the show when he says Catherine, that's the way he spoke to the log lady actors there when they were married and stuff. So it's just kind of, it's kind of funny stuff.
Catherine.
That's
pretty cool. The little log lady.
Log girl is the log lady.
Log girl is a log lady.
So they now use time where they've got information from. Oh, there's so much to talk about the log lady. I feel like I'm jamming all log lady information into this one episode, which I probably could have spread it out over our whole podcast.
That's fine because she was really front and center of this episode.
Yeah. So maybe yeah. So what can I say about this? So she does talk about. They talk briefly about that. Her husband was a woodman, and he died. I think, maybe it was like the day after they were married, or right after they were married, and so there was these collectible cards, the Twin Peaks collectible art cards that it was like baseball cards.
I saw those online.
Did you really?
Yes.
I keep thinking of bringing them in, but I don't bring them in because they tell you who the murderer is and stuff, and so I don't want to get.
I didn't look into that. Yeah.
So. In the cards, they say the log was given to Margaret by their former woodsman husband as a wedding gift. So he's saying that it was a gift from her husband.
Oh, so that's why she doesn't let go of it.
And says, and in an interview, in the Bravo interview by Catherine Coulson in 1993, this is a time that they're going to start doing the intros, the log lady intros. They do an interview with her, and she says she wasn't crazy at all. This is Catherine speaking. I mean, Catherine Coulson. She just loved this log because it represented her dead husband. She was an incredibly cranky person who had a rough life. But it's like this log maybe meant. So I'm tempted to give you a theory about this that could be a true theory, but I don't think it ever comes up in the series. So I'm going to share something with you, but it might ruin something. But I don't think it does.
What do you mean?
All right,
you're talking in riddles.
I know.
Is it going to give me the killer?
No, it won't give you the killer.
All
so,
right. So
we've talked about before that there could be a spirit in the log.
Yep. I'm assuming because the log talks, and these people take it. The funny part about the show is they don't go, oh, man, she's crazy. She's telling us about the log. They just go, what did the log say? They're totally acceptable, so they know what happened to her. They must know her.
Well, I think Hawk talks about how he mentioned about her husband dying, and
is it her husband's spirit?
Right, that's the theory.
Okay.
That's one theory, that it's her husband.
So people are going to be nice to her about this, even if they think she's crazy.
Right.
They're going to be cordial and be like,
But even if it really isn't his spirit, and maybe they know that was a gift, that was his last gift that he gave to her before he died. Maybe they're kind of like, hey, let's give her some slack. This is a really, this is something that means a lot to her. And
Yeah.
And so actually, David Lynch let her keep the log, so she still has it to this day and stuff. So I think she used to take it with her places, but like it's not always easy to
carry around a log
and stuff. And I think it gets harder now with planes and stuff, storing it and things like that. The other thing is that no trees were killed in getting the log. The log was actually a branch from a tree, so the tree is still alive and stuff.
Okay.
And it's a ponderosa pine. That's the type.
All those arborists out there, just so you know, no trees were harmed.
No trees were harmed. So I guess there's probably more I can talk about, and maybe as we go on, I'll go back to it.
So, cabin with their they find the cabin with the red drapes, right?
Right.
That's what we're going into. Yep. And they see that there's a recorder in there. And Waldo.
Yeah, it's a record player.
A record player which is playing music. Oh no, they put the music on.
No, I think what happens is like with the record, it gets to the end and it gets up and it goes and starts up again. So it just happened to start up again as they were walking in. But I loved it. Can we play it?
Yeah.
So they're actually crawling up to the house.
So this record's just been playing nonstop.
Yeah.
Is that Laura singing?
That's Julie Cruz, who was the singer from the Roadhouse.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted Cooper to say his thing, and then we'll bring it down.
And there's always music in the air.
And there's always music in the air, which is what I believe a little man from another place says in the dream and stuff.
Yep.
There's always music in there, and then he starts dancing. And
so all the clues from the dream are unraveling.
Yeah, and so we're in this cabin, and they find the twine, they find the bird, and they find...
and blood. They film blood in a poker chip from One-Eyed Jack's.
Poker chip.
Yes, and the poker chip is actually busted. It's missing a part.
Right.
Which is interesting.
It almost looks like a piece of pie or something.
Yes. It's missing this jacket. It looks like someone took a bite out of it, actually.
Yes. Right. I think that's a clue.
It is a clue. So all these things are found at the this cabin. Now, we all know from last episode, Audrey has a little... She has a series of tunnels that she likes to hide in and listen to people's conversations. And there is a party going down in the sawmill. Is a party being held in the sawmill? Or no,
we're in the Great Northern.
The Great Northern place.
Yeah.
Because of this, Audrey hears about the burning down the mill plans from the hole in the wall. So she goes to this area. She must go there a lot. She pulls it apart, and she actually hears... about the plan that Ben and Catherine are going to burn down the mill for the insurance money. Now, I don't remember if Audrey actually... I don't think she tells anybody about this at this point.
No, not at this point. I don't
think that comes up. I think she keeps it to herself at the moment. But... they're having a party with the people from the beginning of the show.
The Icelanders?
The Icelanders, right? Now, this is the episode where I thought it was the last episode where Laura's dad goes nuts from the song playing during the gala or during the party.
Almost every other episode he going nuts.
He does this, yeah. Now, this is the episode where I got confused. So he starts crying and having a breakdown, but everybody in there decides to join in and like do the dance. He was like having
the Leland Shuffle.
Yeah, the Leland Shuffle. So they all start doing it because I feel like they feel bad for him.
Catherine, let's get some audio for a second here again. And he starts dancing, and it's really Catherine who.
Yes.
Ben tells Catherine, "Go dance with him, so we don't make a scene."
Yeah.
Now, I think Audrey might have been. I don't know if Audrey sabotaged this or not, but.
It's serious. Dance with him.
Oh, yeah.
That's all.
So they basically should do a remix with this music and him crying.
Yes.
Because he's crying and dancing through this whole first season.
And it kind of goes. I think it was the last episode I was talking about that he seems to maybe be dancing because he misses his daughter, and that he danced with his daughter when she was
that
little,
deleted scene, and that makes total sense, and that actually helps me understand it a little bit better because I'm just like, this guy is just. He's a wreck.
He's a wreck.
He's a wreck. And now they're all doing the dance. He's crying, so
Right.
they're all putting their hands to their head.
Oh,
it's like
man.
the worst. It's like the Elaine dance from Seinfeld.
And it's like the only one that really has compassion is Audrey. I mean, Audrey is watching all this, and she's crying, and she's like, "This is just horrible, horrible." Like these people, the way they're treating this guy who's dealing with this grief.
Yep. But I kind of feel like they're helping him in this scene. Like, I know she's upset because Laura's dead and he's grieving, but in a way I see like they're just trying to help him. They can't help him directly, but I feel like instead of making the guy look like a mess in front of the whole town, they're gonna make him seem okay, I guess.
Maybe, but I don't know. I think there's a lot of selfish people on the show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're with company that could investors, right? So
Yes,
they have to make
right.
it look good.
Yep.
Now, I see the selfish part. That's the selfish part. You better make this look good because we're gonna lose these investors. We can't have this guy crazy.
Yes.
But at the same time, you know what? It gives him company, I guess. Unless he's not by himself crying and dancing in the corner.
So Maddie is investigating. She's finding tapes and stuff of Laura's in the Palmer house.
Yeah, she finds the tapes. Now, these tapes were recorded and given to the doctor.
Right, Dr. Jacoby, right.
Dr. Jacoby. Now, what do I have? I have Leo is shot by his wife. So Leo, we're going to jump to Shelly. Shelly's at home. Leo comes in and tries to, like, boss her around or whatever. And she holds the gun up to him. You come closer, I'm going to shoot you.
Right.
And I think we might hear the shot, but we don't know what happens.
Right, it's
Sort
off
of deal.
screen. I think you hear him screaming.
Yeah. You're a bad shot. You shot my eyelids off.
Oh, man.
And then the most interesting ending to an episode was Cooper finding Audrey in his bed naked. So you see Audrey last crying, watching, Laura's dad cry dance. And then Cooper goes back to his apartment or his little hotel for the night, and
pulls out a gun because he notices the door has been opened.
Yep.
And it's like somebody's in my room. Who's been sleeping in my bed?
And it's a naked Audrey.
Whoa.
Now, why does she get naked? I mean, I know she's trying to seduce him, and obviously it just said applause. Why does it say applause? There was no TV on. We have some catch. It said applause.
I have an iTunes episode of Twin Peaks here that I've downloaded, and we've
Is
got
this laugh track on here?
No, we have closed captioning on. For some reason,
There's
applause. You know what? Maybe the Icelanders were.
Oh, you can hear from the background.
Why don't we put on some? We'll go back a little bit.
Right there.
Oh,
right there. You had it. You had it.
I had it. All right, go.
Oh my God! It's the credits.
I'm the worst at this.
Right there.
All right.
Hit play. Well, okay. It says applause. It must be from Icelander.
It must be. Right? Because when we were plotting that we have Audrey in bed,
Yeah.
So as Cooper sees the door is open, he goes to open the door with his gun out. And we're going to see we see applaud here coming up here for a closed caption. Yeah, so the
applause.
Reach over and turn on the light.
Yep, there she is. Audrey naked.
Yeah. And it's so like...
Don't make me leave.
Please, don't make me leave.
She does say in this episode at the beginning that she's 18 years old, so we know.
And he's just like, listen, I'm an FBI agent. If I'm not stupid. Like, God forbid, you know. So finding Audrey in there was kind of like the turning point with their relationship. I think next episode, he does have this, you know, we all know she likes him, but the conversation they have, I'm jumping ahead a little bit to next episode, but it's sort of this like, yes, okay, I think he understands that she likes him, but it's almost like a fatherly talk he has with her. Yeah. You know, I'm older than you. We can be friends.
I want to believe he's just trying to justify it to himself. I was like, I think he has a hot for her. I think he thinks she's beautiful.
He doesn't go down that road at all.
I know he doesn't go down that road, but it goes back to the first meeting. He says, and I like that grapefruit freshly squeezed. I don't know. I mean, and he sees her. That's horrible.
But he's a classy guy because
he's a very classy guy.
Because if they went a different route with his character, he could have jumped in bed with her, and that would have changed the tone of the show.
Right.
I think that you wouldn't look at Agent Cooper the same, and I think I'm glad they went in that direction.
He's a Boy Scout. He is a Boy Scout. He will always do, at least it comes off like he will always do the right thing.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And that's cool.
That's cool, and I like that. And I like that the relationship didn't go down that way. I think it would have ruined it a little bit. I mean, maybe later on something else will happen. I don't know, but where I am in the story, and from seeing that, I liked that about
it. But that 15-year-old version of me was kind of like, yes!
Yeah. She's naked in the bed!
Go for it, Cooper!
She still looks good to this day. She
does.
When I watched the this little bit that on the Blu-rays that they just filmed like last year, and she still looks good. She's
amazing. I mean, and she's gone on some convention type things recently, and I think she's still beautiful woman and stuff, and
and they picked a good looking cast for the most part, like guys and girls. They were all like, for the time period, they were all good looking people. Then you had weird looking people, and they really matched.
And not even weird. I mean, sometimes some of these people just look like your average, average people that you see every day, not like movie star people. Which I think is kind of nice in a way to see.
Yeah, they were good looking, but they had flaws and a lot of. Yeah, you're right. They were normal looking people, like the log lady looks like a normal crazy lady
with a log.
So, is there anything else for this episode?
We only just passed just to link people together. I mean, people saw it, but we learned that Josie has some kind of connection with Ben Horn. So now we now have Josie has a connection to Hank, and Hank has Josie has a connection to Hank, and Ben has a connection to Josie, and Ben has a connection to Catherine, and it seems like they're all kind of in this somehow together. And and Ben has a connection with Leo, all related to this mill. And I think we talked about it a few shows ago, and it is just too complicated sometimes. It's like, we have this mill, and everybody wants to do something with it and burn it down, or I don't know.
Yeah, and for me, getting into this, and for people watching this, it's like I kind of latched onto the stories I liked. And the burning of the mill and everything was kind of boring. But then that story becomes forefront later on and more interesting. So you kind of, with the way the show is, I feel like you can pick the storylines you really like.
Oh, yeah.
And you follow that. But then later on, the storylines that you're like, they'll get better. And it all intertwines somehow, some way. So it's interesting. And they go into different storylines, and they weave in and out of each other's lives.
Yep.
But
just like a soap opera.
Yes, just like a soap opera. I think it was a great episode. It's a quick one, too. It goes by real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, we just talked about it less than an hour. I mean, 45 minutes
cool.
in.
And I feel like I went through a lot of the Log Lady origin, which is what I was excited to talk about, was that, this is something that had been almost 20 years in the making of coming up with this Log Lady idea and stuff. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. And,
so we only have two more episodes of the season, 6 and 7, right?
Yes.
So, every week we got 2 more episodes up to the season, and then I think after episode 7 we'll do hopefully just a podcast about what we thought of that episode, that season.
I would
right?
love that. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I think that'd be so. I thought about it. I don't even think you and I talked about it, but I was thinking kind of the same thing.
Like a recap.
A recap. Yeah. And I think we've done a lot of this on every episode, but it would be fun to be able to step away and say, okay, here's where we are. What do we know, and what do we think of the season as a whole? And we could do a lot of fun things with that.
Yep. And if you have questions, maybe if you email us at
twinpeaksunwrapped@gmail.com.
Yes. We can maybe, if we get enough questions, we can, we'll do all of that in that episode maybe.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That would be kind of cool to have that. Yeah, I think we could wait till that episode if we want to take some questions or comments.
Yeah.
Or that'd be awesome. I think that'd be good. And you can also find us on our social media pages.
Yes.
There's Twitter, Twin Peaks Unwrapped, or you can search for Twin Peaks Unwrapped.
Yep.
And then there's
Facebook,
Twin Peaks Unwrapped
on Facebook, and we're on iTunes, Podbean,
your local podcasts. I mean, stream. Yeah. I think what you call those caster things, but I have Overcast.
Podcatchers.
That's it. Podcatchers. So you can
catch
find
your pods.
Cool.
We're sending our pods out, and you can catch them anywhere. And follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and email us, and then we'll do that recap episode. And if you have questions, comments, like you said, maybe we can just do it all there for that one episode. That'd be cool.
And if you think we missed something this season that, we didn't focus enough on, we didn't focus enough on Nadine or something like that. I mean, I think there's some. I mean, I like the style that we do it. I mean, we don't go to every single story and focus a lot on that.
We don't need to.
I don't think we need to, but if there's things that people are interested in, that's like, hey, you guys didn't spend enough time on James or something, or do you know any background about this character? I mean, I think there's plenty we can still talk about. So send us an email and maybe we'll talk about it in that episode.
Yeah, definitely. And we're what do we have for Diane's tapes today, Ben?
Let's see. Let's be surprised. Let's check it out.
Be surprised.
Well, yeah. So this is, Diane's tapes. It was a cassette tape written by Scott Frost, Mark Frost's brother. He wrote it, and then Kyle MacLachlan did the audio for it. And let's check it out.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Diane, 5 p.m., deep in the woods near the Pearl Lakes. The log lady directed us to a cabin further up the ridge from hers, owned by Jacques Renault, where we found the bird Waldo, several bloodstains that I assume this time will be a match to Laura Palmer, a camera used in producing the photographs of the girls found in Flesh World magazine, a broken poker chip from One-Eyed Jack's, and finally a ball of Finley's fine twine that should match the fibers found in her wrists. We've put out an APB. At this time, Jacques is still at large, as is Leo Johnson. Diane, it's Agent Cooper here, a believer in facts.